Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Bernard De Pasquale. I'm the CEO of the Australian Music Examinations Board, known everywhere as AMEB. Welcome to the launch of the AMEB Online Orchestra for 2019. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we stand, the land of the Wurundjeri and the Boon Wurrung people, and pay respect to their elders and families. A couple of those practical notes about today. We would appreciate you turning your mobile phones onto silent, but you are unusually welcome to take photos, share them on your social media, on the Twitter hashtag. Do as you wish with them, but we'd appreciate you not otherwise disturbing the event with your phones. I'd really like to thank our event partner, Melbourne University, for the use of this magnificent space. If it's your first time to the Conservatorium, this is their new building and it's just fantastic, and we appreciate them sharing with us. I'd also like to thank our other project sponsors, Valiant Press, Hal Leonard Australia, and Oakland Productions. Without them, we would not be here today undertaking this event. In 2018, the centenary of AMEB, musicians and singers were invited to submit a recording of Waltzing Matilda, and the AMEB Online Orchestra was born. With such an enthusiastic response to the project, the AMEB Online Orchestra was called again in 2019, and we've received hundreds of entries from individuals, groups, people from all over Australia. One of the things for me in my job is that my job is often very managerial and administrative, and I spend a lot of time at my desk, in meetings, on phones, writing, doing this, and it's easy sometimes for us to forget that at our heart and at our core we are a music organisation and we're about music. And the thing that I love about this project is that it's all about the music. So people from all over Australia have the opportunity to participate in any way they want, at any level, at any instrument, and they all form part of this group. And it's exciting for me, and it's exciting in our office when the entries come in and we get to see these really interesting melodicas in the middle of a paddock, and whatever it is, we just really love it. And it's that beauty of the online orchestra is that it brings people together, and its inclusiveness of people of all musical abilities. It demonstrates everything that's best about the AMEB community. So the 2019 song is the modern-day classic I Am Australian, written by Bruce Woodley and Dobe Newton in 1987. It's a piece of music that rouses the emotions with its stirring pride in the diversity of Australian society. The song was arranged for all instruments and voices and all standards by our publishing team, headed by Steve Hodgson, David Howell and Alex Garsden. We're very fortunate that internationally renowned conductor Jessica Gethin agreed to act as our ambassador this year and has flown from Perth to be here today. Jessica was listed in Limelight magazine's 2017 Top 20 Australian Artists of the Year. Her musical experience covers a diverse range of genres, also writing, presenting, conducting her own symphonic programs and family concerts. She has been Chief Conductor of the Perth Symphony Orchestra since 2011 and will be conducting the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra this Saturday. Jessica has kindly agreed to MC the event today, so please welcome her to the stage. So just before I hand over to you, Jessica, a couple of questions for you. So I guess, how have you enjoyed being part of the online orchestra?
Oh, it's been a wonderful experience, a very joyful one. I've had the really fun bit of just being able to talk to people about the project rather than doing all the behind the scenes. But one thing that has struck me is that when I've been working with different professional orchestras around Australia, I've often asked them how many of them have been involved with the AMEB, either taking the exams or teaching the syllabus. and sort of 80-90% of all these musicians have put up their hand, and I realised how it is something that connects the music community across Australia and beyond. So it's really great, as you said, that this is really about the creative part of it, the music part, which has been wonderful.
So I've really talked about the community part of the online orchestra, which we love, but do you feel like it has an educational value as well?
Absolutely. I think that other than celebrating music and everything that it stands for, the inclusivity that you talked about is really important. The element of participation is what it's about. It's not about how well you can play and whether you can get your scales in tenths or your thirds or your... It's actually about taking part and belonging and giving an opportunity for everyone. So there's actually some great pictures that you'll see going from really littlies to a lot older, more experienced musicians as well. So it's covered all ages, all levels and all abilities, and that's what it's about at the end of the day.
And I have to ask, you mentioned how AMEB ties everybody together. Are you an AMEB credentialed person?
Yes, I am. I feel like I've lived 3 phases of life with the AMEB. I completed many of the exams on violin and in theory when I was a student myself. And then I spent almost 2 decades teaching from the AMEB syllabus. And now my children are starting AB on violin and trumpet. So, yeah, I'm in my 3rd phase of it. Yeah.
Well, we're in good hands then, so I hand over to you. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you very much, Bernard. Good morning, everyone. Welcome here to Melbourne, and for those joining us on the Facebook Live feed as well. Thrilled to be with you here to launch the online orchestra, AMEB's online orchestra for 2019. This has been an incredible project to be a part of. We had over 1,200 performers participate on everything from the more standard entries on our violins and flutes and our choirs and pianos to some wonderful unusual entries which included melodicas, harp, guitar, tin whistle, glockenspiel and the rest. About half who participated last year entered again this year, and of course we welcomed lots of new musicians to the orchestra. The entries have celebrated all that AMEB stands for: inclusivity, participation, diversity, and providing everyone with an opportunity to be a part of something. From the vast array of instruments to the musicians who entered from all ages across all parts of our land, the locations filmed and the stories that accompanied them. We had individuals, schools, community groups, friends and families enter with venues that range from the Big Pineapple to under a gum tree, on riverbanks, the middle of the outback, a hobby farm, on bushwalks, on a school camp and at a hairdressing salon. Some very creative performances to capture all that is Australian. Reading through some of these stories, you can see just how far and wide this orchestra has reached people. We had Phoebe and Allegra from outback Queensland, who are both homeschooled. They live about 100 kilometres from each other, so they don't usually have the opportunity to play together in an orchestra. So they were very excited to join together to record their entry together. We had the Rockin' Rockets rock band enter, again from Canberra. Thomas from West Wyalong, who taught himself the flute to participate. The Charlesville District's Community Orchestra recorded their video in the outback town of Queensland on the evening of the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. Not all our entries are living in Australia either. Benjamin Gunthorpe is an Australian currently living in Texas, USA. When he saw his old school enter, it inspired him to submit 4 entries of his own, each on a different saxophone, to make up his very own sax quartet. I believe he may even be here today, or certainly watching, so if you are, welcome to Benjamin and thank you. The song of course, itself is an iconic tune, alternatively known as a bit of an unofficial anthem for our country, written in 1987 by Bruce Woodley, AO from the Seekers and Dobe Newton from the Bushwhackers. AMEB received Bruce and Dobe's blessing to use this song for the online orchestra, which was arranged by Steve Hodgson and David Howell. We'll hear a little bit about that process later on this morning. The beauty of this arrangement is that it stays true to the original while also allowing many different instruments of varying ability to all participate. Now, even though the final orchestra is online, we are lucky enough to have some performers live with us here today. Would you please join me in welcoming our first item from Melbourne Girls College? We have the Junior String Ensemble to perform Butterflies and Flowers by Elena Rusanova-Lucas. Would you please welcome our musicians, along with their directors Wen Chin and Les Giori. Thank you, Wen. Thank you, girls, and I would love to invite over Wen Chin, their director, to have a few words. Well done, girls. I heard that this is one of the biggest auditoriums you've played in, so what a great experience for you all. We'll come and give you a microphone so everyone can hear you. Wen, tell us a little bit about the junior string ensemble, what age group they are from, and what's their rehearsal preparation?
So the junior string ensemble ranges from students in years 7 to 10, and we rehearse Tuesday mornings before school. So it's been a really wonderful experience to learn this piece. It's not an easy one to do, and this is certainly the biggest space they've been in, and been really excited to be invited to perform here today.
Fantastic. Now, I understand that this is the second time that the Melbourne's Girls College has submitted an entry for the online orchestra. What interested you as a teacher to be a part of something like this?
So last year when the project was announced, I thought, oh, that's such a wonderful thing. And a few years ago, I remember watching something similar by Eric Whittaker. He did a online choir project. And I thought this would be a wonderful experience for instrumentalists to be a part of. So we rehearsed the piece last year. They were also featured in the video. So the girls really enjoyed being part of a community of musicians throughout Australia, and also seeing themselves on video. I mean, who doesn't like seeing themselves on video, I think. So I thought, again, this year, let's be involved, and we also collaborated with the choir at school. So instead of just a string ensemble submission this year, we had the choir join in as well with us. So that was a really wonderful experience to be collaborating across the performing arts department as well.
Certainly is a really great aspect of the online orchestra. And finally, can you tell us a little bit about your recording experience for 2019?
So at Melbourne Girls College, we're really lucky to be by the Yarra River. So we've got beautiful grounds. So we just recorded by the river. It was really lovely, just in a grassy area. They're in casual clothes because it was a casual clothes day, but we really enjoyed having the birds in the background as well, just out there in nature. So it was a really lovely experience.
That all adds to the final product, I think, being out there in nature. Well, let's once again thank Wen Chin and the Melbourne's Girls College Junior String Ensemble. Thanks, Wen.
Thank you.
Thank you. The AMEB is very proud to be associated with Yugambeh Choir. The Yugambeh Youth Choir is an Aboriginal choir from Beenleigh in Queensland. The choir is directed by contemporary woman Kenneth Kruger, who joins us in the audience today. Hello. And it weaves the region's language, culture and stories together in traditional and contemporary Yugambeh language pieces. We are really lucky to have with us today one of the choir's past choristers, Candice's daughter, Isobella Kruger. Would you please join me in welcoming Isobella to the stage? Good morning and welcome to our online orchestra launch. Thank you for being here with us today. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your heritage?
Well, before I start today, I'd just like to say Jingari Jimbalung Nyanyanyari Isobella Kruger. So that directly translates to welcome friends. My name is Isobella Kruger. I am a proud Kumba woman from the Gold Coast and Noogie woman of Moreton Island. And yeah, I'm part of the Yugambeh Youth Choir. So Yugambeh is the language of the Gold Coast. You may have heard it last year in the Commonwealth Games. The mascot was Borabi, which means koala in the Yugambeh language. So we were very proud to have that. And yeah, I've come down this year. I've moved down from the Gold Coast to study at Monash University. I'm studying a Bachelor of Medical Science and Doctor of Medicine, so I've followed my passion. And I'm very proud to be here on Wurundjeri country today, sharing stories from my own culture and my own language, and being part of AMEB as well. I was absolutely ecstatic when they announced the song as I Am Australian this year. I think the last time I sang that song, I was in outback Queensland in Winton with a couple of mates and a lagerphone with the beer bottle caps performing that in harmony. So to be able to integrate the Australiana theme with Aboriginal culture is just astounding. It's something completely new, and working with AMEB has been a great experience, I think, for a lot of kids. And the choir has kids from 5 years to me, I'm 18. My sister still comes and performs with us. She's 22. So there's a lot of opportunity to teach younger kids language. And we actually performed our version of the song in language by the Nerang River at Hotta, Home of the Arts on the Gold Coast. And the Yugambeh people, we're saltwater people, so to be by the river, that's a really important part of our culture, and to share that with, like, on a national platform, it's really been amazing.
What an incredible way for us to all be able to celebrate and learn and appreciate all that part of it as it connects us together. So the audience can really appreciate just how special this is. Are you able to demonstrate one of your calls in Yugambeh for us?
Sure, I got a couple little things that I can share for you. So the first call that I'm going to perform, it's a call to corroboree, and corroboree means a celebration. It means singing and coming together and dancing and performing and celebrating food and culture and being together. So the call to corroboree was actually reactivated after 110 years of not being sung a couple of years ago by my older brother. And it is traditionally sung by a male, but I will share it with you all today. It's a really special piece. It's short and simple and melodic, and it means you come here. So yeah. Wa wo wo ya 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 wo ya wo ya wo ya wo ya. And then another piece I'd just like to share is just a little call and response piece, which just sort of means it's about the grannies who are calling out, trying to find their grandchildren, and the kids are out collecting grubs, and they say, "We're collecting grubs, Granny, we're collecting grubs." So I'll just perform that one for you as well. Wega wega malil, wega wega malil, jubbin jubbin na you, jubbin jubbin na you. Thank you.
What an absolute privilege and special treat to have Isobella here with us today, and to Candice as well. Thank you. The choir's now participated in both online orchestras, and this year it was pretty special that you sang the first verse of I Am Australian in Yugambeh. Of course, it opens with I Came from the Dreamtime, from the dusty red soil plains, and thank you to Sean Davies for assisting with the translation of all this as well. Would you join me together in thanking once again Isobella Kruger? And on to our next performance. The Tintern Junior Choir will be singing two works for us this morning, Electricity and Sing. Would you please welcome their choir, together with their conductor, Mrs. Jackie Casey, and accompanist, Mr. Ben Taylor. The Tintern Junior Choir. Almost there.
I can't really explain it. I haven't got the words. It's a feeling that you can't control. I suppose it's like forgetting or losing who you are, but at the same time, something makes you whole. It's like the best music playing in your ear, and I'm listening, and then I disappear, and I feel a change, like a fire deep inside. Something's bursting me wide open, impossible to hide, and suddenly I'm flying like a bird, like electricity. Electricity sparks inside of me, and I'm free. I'm free. It's a bit like being angry. It's a bit like being scared, confused and all mixed up, and that as well. It's like when you've been crying and you're empty and you're full. I don't know what it is, it's hard to tell. It's like the best music playing in your ear, and I'm listening, and then I disappear, then I feel a change, like a fire deep inside. Something's bursting me wide open, impossible to hide, and suddenly I'm flying like a bird, like electricity. Electricity sparks inside of me, and I'm free. I'm free. Electricity sparks inside of me, and I'm free. I'm free. I'm free.
Sing it for your papa, hey. Sing it for the whole world, every boy or girl and a #1 fan. KO on the beat, okay?
I'm a human, 808. Go ahead, go and sing it on top, cause the beat won't stop, no way, no way.
Sing, 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 sing it out as hard as you can. Make them hear from Malaysia, Japan. Don't let them bring you down, 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 down. Away from the down, down. Sing, 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 sing it with your hands in the sky. Raise your voice until you feel your heart cry. Don't let them bring you down, 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 down. You know what they're talking about. Sing it loud now. You know what they're talking about. Loud now. You know what they're talking about. Sing it loud now.
The Tintern Junior Choir. Fantastic, everybody. Oh, what a way to start our Tuesday, huh? Brilliant. We can tell that you enjoyed that just as much as we did. I'm now going to invite Jackie Casey, their conductor, up to tell us a little bit about the choir and also what led up to their performance today in terms of your rehearsal process.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you for having us here today. We're very privileged to come and perform in this beautiful auditorium. Tintern Grammar Junior School Choir consists of girls and boys from Year 4, 5 and 6, and they rehearse once a week in their separate choirs, and we have separate choirs as part of our junior school parallel learning model. So we're very excited, as I said, to perform our pieces today, and I'm sure you'll agree they did a fantastic job. Let's give them another round of applause.
They did indeed. Now, Tintern, we understand, submitted 2 entries for the online orchestra. Can you tell us about the process of rehearsing the song and then also recording the video?
Sure. Well, we were going to actually have one online video, but it was logistically impossible with 230 children. So we decided we would put in 2 entries. So we had one for our middle school and senior school students, along with their string orchestra and the selected wind and brass students. And these choirs and orchestras are rehearsed separately, and then they came together at a music camp. And we recorded the video at the music camp. And then the junior school choir was accompanied by the Paganini String Orchestra, and they are students again from Year 4 to 6. And they rehearsed separately again before we recorded the full version in our big auditorium at Tintern Grammar. And these children also performed the full version of I Am Australian at their cabaret night in June, which was very exciting. We rehearsed for about 4 sessions, and then we recorded it in the main auditorium, and the IT department were very much involved in this process, and I know that the children really enjoyed the experience.
So to help with my maths, we had about 200 from the junior school from 3 to 6, and we had a whole lot from the senior school. In total, how many did you have perform?
Probably actually about 250 in total,
250.
because there's about 120 from the junior school and about 100 and so from the senior school and middle school. So it involved a lot of children, and we're very, very lucky to involve that many students in such a fantastic experience. So thank you.
Thank you. What an amazing contribution from Tintern Grammar. Thank you, Jackie. Thanks, everybody. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce our next guest for this morning. Thanh Bui has partnered with the AMEB on not just this initiative, but on a few others as well. In 2019, the AMEB started examining in Vietnam. This is a very exciting development, and AMEB has now signed agreements with conservatories and music institutions around the country. Once the choirs are left, I'm going to ask Thanh to pop up here and have a quick chat with me. Let me tell you a little bit about this very interesting guest we have here today. Thanh is the founder of the Asian Music and Performing Arts Education Corporation, otherwise known as AMPA Education. It's a not-for-profit and international NGO. Thanh himself is an artist, an arts advocate, a superstar in Vietnam. He saw great success in Australian Idol and also as a solo artist in Vietnam, and we are absolutely thrilled that he is here today with us in Melbourne. Would you please welcome up Thanh Bui. Hi. Good morning and welcome. We're so pleased you could join us today.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone.
Can you tell us a little bit about AMPA and how many students around Vietnam you have?
So AMPA is the first not-for-profit in Vietnam in the arts. So over the past 45 years after the war, music and the arts has been something very much an elitist thing, where only the affluent have access to music. So what AMPA's role is how do we give access to as many children in Vietnam as possible, the beauty of music. Because I grew up here in Australia, and as a 5-year-old kid, I remember playing the recorder and playing guitar, and then as a 10-year-old doing my AMEB exams. Music really changed my life, so we really hope to be able to bring music to more children in Vietnam.
Incredible. And how many students do you have currently around Vietnam?
So right now we're part of our organisations, we're touching around 1,500 to 2,000 kids at the moment.
Incredible.
But there's a long ways to go. So any help that we can get from Australia, from around the world, as donors and as partners, that's why we're very excited to work with Bernard and with the AMEB as great advocates for the arts.
Well, how long has the organisation been running for?
So we've been up and running for about 4 years. And it's been really tough work because in Vietnam it's still very much about math and science and physics and those types of subjects. But as we're seeing creativity become so important and integral as 21st century skills, what we're seeing is the lifting of creativity to a new level. So we're getting there, but there's lots and lots of work to go.
Absolutely, but it sounds like they've got the right person at the helm to lead that. Now, you have a fascinating background. I always enjoy reading about my different guests. You are originally from Melbourne, now you reside in Ho Chi Minh City. Can you tell us a little bit about that your life in between there? We don't have 4 hours, but we do have a little bit of time to learn just a little bit more about you and your journey.
Sure. So Melbourne is always going to be home, though I was actually born and raised on an Adelaide farm. Oh. But I consider myself a Melbourne boy. Go the Geelong Cats, but we lost this year. I missed the footy. But ultimately, I grew up here and I had all the opportunities to go to the top schools here and to have access to literally everything. And as sons of refugees, it's just an amazing story of Australia opening its doors and its heart to people and to families like myself. And so the question, about 7 years ago, after I did Australian Idol, and I was a finalist on Australian Idol, all the Vietnamese throughout the world actually said, oh, this young boy from Melbourne's actually doing some cool stuff. And what happened was that they invited me back to Vietnam. Now, when I told my mother that, hey, Mum, I want to go back to Vietnam, she goes, I almost died 3 times getting out. So what the hell are you doing going back to that country? And I said, well, Mum, I've got to find out who the hell I am. I've got to retrace my steps. I've got to find this search for identity, of sense of duality, being Vietnamese, being Australian. And so I went back to Vietnam, and I was lucky to work with artists and sort of reach a certain level up there. And then the question was, well, what can I do to really have purpose? And seeing the effect of music that it's had on my life, I sort of set out to say, what can an Australian Vietnamese person do in Vietnam, and to lift the standards of music and creativity in that country. So it's been working with artists, building ecosystems, building education, media. One day, I hope that there will be Vietnamese artists who are global citizens who can, contribute to the world of music. So instead of lang langs, I hope there are little Thanh boys around or little Nguyen's around, running around and doing some wonderful work to contribute to the fabric of music and the arts throughout the world. So that's sort of the story in about a couple of minutes.
Wow, well, I know that the AMEB is extremely excited about the partnership, and we wish you all the very best. I know that you taught your choir in I Am Australian so that they could take part in the online orchestra. Just very quickly, we're actually going to take a little look at this clip and the video. Wow. Is there anything you'd like to quickly say about that experience of teaching the choir?
Well, first of all, it was something that was quite short notice, but then when you sit down with the kids, I think this shows the future of Vietnam. When people think about Vietnam, people, I think, still think about the war and think about, where sort of during that time what happened. But what you'll see here is the new generation. It's the next generation of young children who are deeply excited about reaching out to the rest of the world. And we're very excited that the AMEB is part of our growth and development. And yeah, that's really proud of us.
You're an amazing advocate for arts education. Let's have a look at the video. Thank you to Thanh, and for including your choir shows just how global the online orchestra can reach. I'm sure, I haven't checked with him, but I'm sure if you have any questions for Thanh that he will be around following the launch for a few minutes. So if you'd like to have a chat with him, I'm sure that he'd be happy to do that. Thank you very much. And Thanh Bui, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Thanh. Of course, there is much more to the online orchestra than just happens with what you're about to see with our final product. It is a huge process with the AMEB working very closely with composers, arrangers, ambassadors, typesetting, website building, types of performance examples, the tracks that you hear, the amazing talents of Jared, who has a mammoth task of editing all these videos together in the lead up to launch today, to the final video performance. And just before we show you the final video, I would love to invite up AMEB's Head of Publishing, Steve Hodgson, to just give you a couple of little things that have happened along the way and share a little bit of this process and journey. Steve Hodgson.
Thanks very much.
Welcome. What a journey you've had.
Yes.
Could you just share with us a little bit about when this sort of all started, from the very first moment when this idea was conceived, which I believe may have been a little genius idea of yours, and how this all unrolls and unfolds?
Well, really it started on the day of the release of the last online orchestra project, which was Waltzing Matilda, of course, and on that day we decided we have to do it again. And the selection of the piece itself almost came immediately. We decided that it had to be I Am Australian. We've done a bit of a folk tune with Waltzing Matilda, and we had to do something a little bit more contemporary, and but something that still struck straight to the heart of being Australian and being part of a community that transcends, you know, local geography, transcends age and ability and all of that sort of thing, which is what the project was all about. So immediately went about trying to get permission from the songwriters, and they have been absolutely amazing in allowing us to take their song and put it through this process. And then starting with the arrangements and working out how we were going to put together an arrangement that works for different abilities, for different instruments, for different instrumental combinations. And the mechanics of it at the very beginning are about trying to find a way that allows people to record a small portion that can then be spun out into different verses that have different colours, different instrumentation, without making every entrant record a 6-minute song. 6 minutes of recording is a lot of time, even for a seasoned professional, in one take. So we really wanted to look at ways of truncating that so that everybody could just record their little 3 minutes of music, and then we could then use that and combine and recombine that in ways that produced a lot of colour and a lot of change and a lot of variety.
And I guess part of that process being that you also wanted to stay true to the original song while making it apply for so many different levels and abilities and instruments.
Absolutely. Yeah. So part of our agreement with the songwriters was it had to be the same as the original, and the rhythms of the words had to be the same, and all of the chords had to be the same. So we couldn't really flex our muscles and have high string harmonics and you know, all of that stuff that you kind of want to do as an arranger, just to show off. But yes, we absolutely wanted to stay true. We wanted it to have that same anthemic quality, that uplifting quality that the original has, and while giving all of these opportunities for different instruments like melodicas and harps and as well as strings and woodwinds and brass and all the rest of it to take part.
And when we're about to watch the final project as it comes together, were there any particular maybe challenges or interesting moments where someone said, I'd love to do this particular instrument, or how would this fit in, or in the editing sort of process or the arranging process that you can think of that might be interesting to share?
Well, yes, absolutely. I mean, the original release was for all of the orchestral instruments and for guitar and piano and voice and all the rest of it. And then we had several requests as time went on for different varieties, a version for recorder choir and a version for flute choir and various different versions as time went on, which was exactly what we wanted. It was very exciting to get those kind of requests. But yes, we had to continue writing these versions as people came up with new and interesting combinations that we hadn't thought of.
Fantastic. Well, really, really exciting to have had you and the team working on it and pulling together what is going to be a fantastic video. Can you all say thanks, Steve Hodgson? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So on behalf of AMEB, thank you everyone for joining us here today. We'd particularly like to thank everyone who took part today on stage and behind the scenes, everyone involved in the many video clips that we received, whether they were performers, filmmakers, editors, parents, school teachers and more. Thank you again to the wonderful venue here, the Melbourne Conservatorium, for this beautiful stage area, for hosting us, and also, of course, to all of our sponsors. Stay with us after the launch. For those who are in the room with us today, we will be serving some refreshments in the foyer afterwards. We would love to have a chat to you about your experience with the online orchestra. And now we just have one final thing to do, the big moment. Ladies, gentlemen and children, introducing for you the AMEB Online Orchestra for 2019, performing I Am Australian.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic. Congratulations to everyone who put that together and for all the participants. It's so exciting to see that in its final version. I'd really like to thank you all for being here today. I'd like to acknowledge some people who have really gone out of their way to be here today. Some luminaries from the University of Melbourne, Professor Barry Cunningham and Professor Richard Kurth, and Professor Gary McPherson. Chair of our board, Mike Tyler, who's flown in from Queensland to be here this morning. Our state colleagues from Melbourne, Alwyn Mott, and from interstate, Marie Lucas, Kylie Tierney and Michelle Forbes are all here today. I'd really like to thank Thanh for rescheduling his trip to Melbourne to be here today. Seeing a Vietnamese choir singing I Am Australian was one of my dreams for this video, and to actually make that happen, all my thanks to him. The person who has been key to this, I'll thank in a moment, but really within just getting this event together, Jeff Higgins, Fiona Sears and Leah Phillips, really have to thank you for everything. Other staff have done much as well. So, but the person who's hung all this together and who drifted in and out of that video in a ghost-like manner as our conductor really has been wonderful, and we'd just like to thank Jessica Gethin again for her contribution to this project. Could you...
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
I did the easy bit. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. There is some morning tea being served in the foyer, so please join us, chat, tell us what you thought. And I should just say that the online orchestra is going to have a rest in 2020, but it is going to come back in 2021 with a very exciting project that I'm not allowed to announce yet, but it's going to be quite something. So keep your eyes and ears out for that. And if you're not on our mailing list, subscribe and we'll let you know when that's all happening. So thanks again for being here today, and congratulations to everyone who put this together.